Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the market, but we'll also be talking about Litecoin. So I have an interesting relationship with it because I have had Litecoin for quite some time. All the way since 2017, 2018, I've been buying Litecoin. They were huge back then. In the very first bull market that I was a part of, the 2017-18 bull market, there was a lot of altcoins doing very well, especially against Bitcoin in the beginning. Now Bitcoin has more of an established, king of the space here. But back in the day, XRP and Litecoin and Ethereum were very, very good performers. And Litecoin has some very interesting topics being talked about lately. So let's talk about it. Very first thing, Litecoin is number 20 in terms of market cap. Okay. So $7 billion market cap. Usually what that means is the smaller the market cap, the more volatile the price movements, right? So the higher you have, it's interesting. Look at how much volume it has compared to a lot of these other ones right now. That's very interesting. There's a lot of hype around Litecoin right now because it might be potentially getting a ETF. So we're going to talk about that. But the market cap, 7.8 billion. That means it takes less money to move the market up or down compared to something like Bitcoin, which has a lot larger market cap. That's how it works. Okay. Circulating supply. So Bitcoin has a max circulating supply of 21 million. Okay. That's what gives it its inflationary price, deflationary, because the amount of coins is going down, right? As people lose coins, it's going down, and they're only printing a very small amount of coins from miners until the end of whatever it is, 2035 or whenever they start doing it. Then you'll only get Bitcoin from transactions. So we're near the end of life. You can see 94% has been printed, mined, whatever word you want to use, created for Bitcoin. Now, if we go down and look at Litecoin, you can see 75 million right now out of 84 million. So again, max supply, right? If you go look at something like Sui, you got freaking 10 billion and they've only printed 30% of them. Okay. So that's very interesting. XLM, 61%. So you can see these numbers are quite high, right? Compared to the other ones, right? 57%. That means they're going to print 50% more of these coins. It's very interesting when you look at it this way. Some of the older coins like Cardano, 78%. That's good. BNB, okay. XRP's only printed 57%. So that means if they decided they wanted to unlock a bunch of coins, the price would go down as long as more buying interest doesn't come into the market. So that's the first important thing about Litecoin. Now let's talk about some other things here. There's been a lot of people saying that ETFs have been approved for Litecoin. That's not fully true, but Canary Capital has filed for a spot Litecoin ETF, and this filing has been acknowledged by the SEC. Acknowledgement means the proposal is now under formal consideration, but it does not mean it's approved, okay? SEC has a standard review process for asset filings, which includes a period for public comments. I noticed people were passing this around. You can publicly comment if you agree or disagree with making this into an ETF. So if you're bullish on Litecoin, maybe go find one of those out there and then do that. You can just search on X or whatever, probably even Google. They have up to 240 days. So that's a long time, but that does not mean it takes 240 days. That just means up to. So that basically means by the end of this year, they have to decide if they're going to let the ETF go live or not. The market has reacted positively to these developments, with Litecoin experiencing price surges, indicating investor optimism. Analysts like these people saying the ETF has all the necessary components checked suggests a favorable outlook for approval. Okay, so it's interesting. Now let's look at actually the price of Litecoin versus Bitcoin. And it's kind of interesting. So here we go. Let's just go daily. And what do we got here? So this is all the way since June of 2024, almost a year now, 10 months. We've been in a trading range for Litecoin versus Bitcoin. Now, if you'll notice something really interesting, if I go to other coins, you will not see this, right? Okay, so here's June, where we're just talking about. ETH has bled 50%, right? And Litecoin actually tried to break out a couple times, right? So there was a little bit of a bleeding here, And then starting about November, we saw a massive bump. I mean, look at that. That was an 80% run against Bitcoin. So it looks like Litecoin is definitely bottoming and trying to break out. Now, we had this big liquidation event that was kind of a black swan event. But yeah, look at some of these other coins. They just bleed and bleed and bleed, right? This one kind of had a really nice overperformance in March. FET and Render had some massive overperformance in March. But then now they're back to the 2023 levels, right? ADA, kind of similar, bleeding, did break out. Now we're just bleeding again. It's kind of the same for a lot of these. Crow, same thing, bleeding. We see big spikes and then it bleeds and then big spikes and then it bleeds. So it's very interesting. Look at Solana. Solana has held up very well against Bitcoin. So Solana is one of the other ones that has performed very well. The price all the way since December of 2023 has pretty much been flat, actually even slightly increasing. You can see we're up 16%. So Solana has been holding up very well. Litecoin has been holding up pretty well. Not as good as Solana, but been holding up very well. Now, if you were to see an ETF on Litecoin, the price would probably go crazy, especially if we start coming into alt season, which basically it seems like we're just kind of waiting for the Fed to give us quantitative easing, to start printing more money. And then usually that money finds its way into risky assets like stocks and cryptocurrencies. So another one, Binance has been doing recently pretty well, but it's held pretty well since, again, December 2023. Binance has been very strong for a while, because actually, if you kind of zoom out, I purchased a lot of Binance coin in 2018. So you can see we were up at one point 1,700%, but now we're only up about 380%, which is great against Bitcoin. If you can do any sort of positive long-term momentum against Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, I would consider that very, very strong. So just looking at that chart makes it really nice. And, with a lot of these other cryptocurrencies, altcoins especially, bleeding like crazy. I mean, if we zoom in and look at this one, it's been pretty good. It really does not want to go below $100. It really does not want to go. If you could have managed to snag Litecoin at $80 during the big crash, but it just ripped right back up after that, you can see. So it really does not want to go below $100. So that's good to see. That means, even with a lot of these coins, going down, Litecoin has been almost immune to that. Now, I think that's because people are thinking that there is going to be a ETF announced. So that'll be really interesting. I also heard people say that the Grayscale Litecoin Trust, which I do own, I've made a video about it a long time ago, but in the stock market, if you have like a Roth IRA, for example, you can purchase an ETF. It's a trust, not an ETF. A trust is a little bit different than an ETF. So a trust has been approved. There has not been confirmation that a trust has been approved to be converted. However, there are indications that Grayscale has filed for the conversion. So people have filed for a brand new Litecoin ETF, and Grayscale has filed to basically upgrade their trust into an ETF. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. I'm sure I could look it up real quick, but a trust is just less. Let's just look it up. Why not? While we're here, might as well just see what is the difference. Grok, tell me, what is the difference between a trust and ETF? I think there's just more strict regulations. Let's see, structure. A trust is a legal entity created by a trustee. Trust can be used for various purposes. Trust can hold a wide range of assets, not just securities. Okay. Management is generally more private and less regulated. Yeah, that's what I thought. Less regulated compared to ETFs. Liquidity. Trusts are typically not traded on public markets. Selling or transferring trust assets. That's interesting. Because sometimes on Fidelity, when I trade these, sometimes it'll be like you can't use a market order, you have to use a limit order, and I've never seen that before. Usually that's when the liquidity is a little bit lower. For some of these Grayscale, there's just not a lot of, need for them, want for them. So actually, when Litecoin did a huge pump, for some reason, the trust didn't do anything. It actually went down. So it was kind of weird. Because, I guess it went up a little bit for 140%, but it was just weird because in here we saw a massive pump And then for some reason, the price didn't really respond, because it's kind of like the MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin thing, right? It's a separate asset. So people have to want to buy this for the price to go up, right? It's not just perfectly tied to the price of Litecoin. It's tied by interest, right? Demand. So how much there is and how much people want to buy it, right? So if people are more willing to pay more money for this, the price could go up. It might actually be a really good time to get into this Litecoin trust. I have not, full warning, I have not done well with it originally, because I think I bought up in here. So I'm down like 50%. However, I mean, it's pretty much bottomed out. So now is probably the time to enter, not when I entered. You can see there's definitely some support here, right here, right here. We've tapped this place a couple times. So, we might see just a nice pump, 130%. So if you want to grab this one, feel free. It's Grayscale Litecoin Trust. The ticker is LTCN. If you want to pick this up, this is what they filed to be converted into the ETF. So, yeah, just interesting there. Okay. I think Trust might have more fees too than ETFs, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't feel like reading till the end of that, but I think that's probably what it says in here somewhere. Structure, investment, liquidity, taxation. Yeah, okay. Taxation. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, now security. So we talked about if it's going to be converted, most likely. Now there's a bunch of other coins that are potentially going into a trust as well. Dogecoin, Trump coin, XRP, and Solana, and Litecoin. So those are the 5 that are kind of being, I think people have officially submitted. Now let's look at the security. I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm not going to read through all of it because it's kind of a lot here, but basically different algorithms. Bitcoin uses SHA-256, which was created by the CIA. Litecoin uses script. It's more memory intensive to try to prevent it from ASIC dominance. So memory and graphics cards don't do as well with SHA-256 as they do with other mining algorithms. So this is the security, people mine them. So it is still proof of work, not proof of stake. So Litecoin is proof of work, meaning it has miners securing the network, okay? Hash rate. Bitcoin generally has a much higher hash rate, making it theoretically more secure against 51% attacks. This means if you own 51% of the mining infrastructure, you could potentially make a change to the Bitcoin network. And since you have 51%, you can vote that change in yourself. So that's the bad thing. It has a lower hash rate, which might make it less secure, but it's still very robust. Community, Bitcoin has a bigger community, hands down. Lately, though, Litecoin has been growing in popularity. Market cap, obviously. Litecoin's much smaller. I already talked about that. Neither has had a successful hacked, in a sense. Now, Litecoin's been doing some crazy things. Back in the day, they were talking about a credit card or debit card that you could spend your Litecoin. And when that was announced, the price went up like insane. That was like in 2018. But we could see some massive moves on Litecoin. I use Litecoin all the time to transfer money in between exchanges, because if I want to transfer Bitcoin, it's pretty cheap. I've only been spending, 26 cents to transfer Bitcoin, but it takes an hour or more to transfer in my experience. Now, I can't use the Lightning Network for Bitcoin because a lot of, exchanges don't support it. So when I transfer with Litecoin, I get the Litecoin to the other exchange in like a matter of like a minute or two, very quickly. So the transactions are quick and they're super cheap. I mean, I pay, I don't even know, 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever. It's a very small amount. So Litecoin is a lot better for, small purchases, sending, moving money back and forth. So that was kind of the big change from Bitcoin to Litecoin, is just, how long the confirmations take and how cheap the transfer fees are, right? So the fees are a lot cheaper on Litecoin. That's why I use it all the time. And the price is pretty stable on Litecoin for the most part. It is an altcoin. So this last amount of time, look at how much more volatile it is. But if you look like just historically, it's just a little bit more flat than some of the other things, like, I don't know, even Ethereum is kind of just all over the place. I mean, let's see, in the last bear market, we had, what did we see here? Wick to wick. We had a 81%. What did Litecoin do in the last bear market? Might have been more because it's a smaller market cap. Oh, and it has a huge peak. So, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of, yeah, 90% down. But look at that peak, man. Okay, so if we look bottom to bottom of the last bear market, 1,600%. Let's look at Ethereum, bottom to bottom of the last market, and we get what? 4,000%. That's a big pump. So Ethereum, massive. But in the first one, we didn't see anything like that. 113,000. Holy crap. I think Litecoin, let's see what the original pump is. Yeah, the original pump was pretty insane for Litecoin, honestly. 13,000%. I already forgot what Ethereum was. What was Ethereum? Why does it keep resetting the graph for me? 13,000 versus 90,000. Holy crap. So Ethereum was a big pumper, but don't forget it launched at a price of frickin' $1 and then it went up to $5,000. So that's pretty insane. But Litecoin saw some very good performance as well. And even the last market, Litecoin did well. Because if you look at things like XRP, which is another competitor, you can see XRP, you know, up 1,100%, and I already forgot what this one was. 1,100% versus whatever this was, 1,500. So you know, a decent chunk higher in terms of that. But yeah, kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens. I have some Litecoin. I might try to pick up a little bit more Litecoin, but I think we could see some big performance out of it. And again, I still use it to transfer money back and forth between exchanges. I do like Litecoin. Again, it's fairly stable price. It's very cheap and it's quick to send it, right? It's very cheap. Bitcoin's cheap, but it just takes forever. So if you want it quickly, I got to wait an hour for confirmations on Bitcoin. The last 20 sends I've done have been a lot. So anyways, that's it for the video. It's really long, but I wanted to just deep dive Litecoin, talk about all the differences. I'm actually going to try to start up my miner. I have a lot of RAM and graphics memory. I'm going to try to mine Litecoin for a little bit on my PC, see how it goes. But anyways, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. One last thing before we go. There is a trading competition. So if you want to check that out, let me see if literally anyone's registered yet. Let's see if literally. All right, if we go over to the competition, BYD set up for me, not a single person is entered yet. So if you want to win a bunch of money, it should be fairly easy because there's no one in here. Top 5 people win money. You do need a minimum trading volume. However, you can just open trades and then close them and open them and close them and open and close them and get a lot of volume that way. So you could open like a 10x on whatever, or even higher leverage gets you obviously more volume because it's like your total position size. But be careful, leverage trading is risky. But just mess around with there for a little bit of money if you want, and you could have a chance to win a pretty big pool of money because there's literally no one in here. So I unfortunately can't participate. I'm banned from this one, but this is for all my viewers and this is exclusive. So there's not going to be many people in here. There might only be 5 people. So maybe 5 people get in here and win some money. The minimum trading volume is going to be hard to beat, to get for most people. But if you can make that, it's going to be pretty big. Anyways, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Use my links below if you want to sign up for Bitunix or BYD or BTCC. I have affiliate links for all 3. That's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Have a great day, everyone. See you guys.